imagine walking into your kitchen, right? You sit down to this perfectly cooked, just five-star meal.
Okay, I'm picturing it. Sounds great.
Yeah, but instead of tasting this incredible food right in front of you, your brain just like locks onto a single solitary breadcrumb sitting on the counter.
Oh no, just zooming in on the one flaw.
Exactly. You can't look away from it. It's infuriating, and it entirely ruins the evening. Which sounds, honestly, borderline insane, right?
Right, I mean, it's totally irrational.
It is. But according to the deep dive we are doing today, this is precisely the dynamic most of us are playing out in our romantic relationships every single day.
We really do. We just hyper-focus on the crumbs.
Welcome, everyone. If you love to learn and, optimize your daily life without getting totally overwhelmed, this deep dive is for you. We are looking at this deeply insightful article today. It's titled Paying Attention to What Went Well Instead of Only Conflicts.
It's such a great read.
It really is. And our mission today is to look under the hood of human psychology. We want to figure out how intentionally flipping our focus from what goes wrong to what goes right can physically and emotionally rewire a partnership.
Yeah, and this premise really challenges how modern couples are taught to, like, quote unquote, work on their relationship.
Oh, totally. We're always told to communicate about the problem.
Right. There's this pervasive cultural idea that intimacy comes from constant auditing. We sit down, we dissect the emotional tension, we rehash that misunderstanding from Tuesday night.
Like if we just analyze our flaws enough, we'll hit perfection.
Exactly. But the text we're examining argues the complete opposite. It warns that constantly highlighting the negative, even if you think it's healthy communication, actively degrades the emotional bedrock of the relationship. Negative interactions just stick in our memories so much longer.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to understand how to fix the dynamic, we sort of have to understand the biological hardware we're working with, right?
Absolutely. The biology dictates everything.
Yeah, and reading through the source material, the thing that jumped out immediately is the negativity bias. Like, we aren't just choosing to be miserable.
No, we're built for it.
Right. Our brains are evolutionarily rigged to act like that overly critical health inspector in the kitchen. Like, if you walk into your relationship every day scanning for code violations, like a forgotten chore or an irritable tone, you're never going to enjoy the meal.
You can't. Because from an evolutionary standpoint, your brain, it doesn't actually care if you feel deeply connected to your partner. It only cares about keeping you alive.
Wow, yeah. Survival over romance.
Exactly. For our ancestors, putting a positive cue, like a pretty sunset, harmless. Missing a negative cue, like a predator.
Fatal. Game over.
Right. So our neurological architecture makes negative interactions stick in our memories much more vividly. But the text points out this survival mechanism is disastrous for modern love.
Because we aren't running from tigers anymore.
No, we're arguing over the dishwasher. And when those negative interactions monopolize a couple's emotional bandwidth, it's not just a bad day. It's this compounding erosion of trust.
But wait, let me just push back on this for a second.
Go for it.
If you're listening to this, you might be thinking, if I don't focus on the problems, aren't we just sweeping those crumbs under the rug until we literally trip over them?
That's the classic fear.
Right. If my partner is consistently doing something that drives me crazy, ignoring it just feels like a recipe for massive resentment down the line.
Well, what's fascinating here is the text's concept of defensive communication. It makes a really clear distinction. Focusing on the positive is not about ignoring legitimate problems.
Okay, so what is it doing then?
It's about fundamentally changing the biological environment where you address those problems. When your conversations revolve mostly around criticism, your partner's nervous system shifts into a sympathetic state.
Like fight or flight.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
The text notes this constant state of defense produces emotional safety. If I know that every time we talk, I'm going to be critiqued, my prefrontal cortex, the part that handles empathy, essentially goes offline.
Oh, wow. So they aren't even capable of understanding you in that moment.
Right. I stop listening to understand your feelings, and I start listening strictly to defend my own ego. It creates massive emotional distance.
So you're triggering like an amygdala hijack just by setting the table for a talk.
Yes. And the collateral damage of that constant threat scanning is that everyday acts of kindness get totally overlooked.
You just don't see them.
You don't. If your radar is tuned to incoming missiles, you entirely miss that they, I don't know, made the coffee exactly how you like it. Over time, that makes people feel unseen and undervalued.
Which makes sense. I mean, they feel like their effort doesn't matter because the baseline assumption is just failure.
And people don't consciously decide to stop valuing their partner. It just happens because the lens is zoomed in too tightly on the flaws.
Right, the negative interactions become the entire narrative. So if our brains are rigged to obsess over the negative and that destroys intimacy, how do we fix it?
We have to actively choose positive attention.
Yeah, let's shift to that. Let's look at the psychological mechanics of positive attention. How does focusing on the good actually change the dynamic?
Well, it changes the nervous system co-regulation. The text emphasizes that when people feel appreciated, their bodies release oxytocin.
The bonding hormone.
Exactly, and their cortisol levels drop. This isn't just, positive thinking. It's a tangible physiological shift. The relationship becomes a source of calm rather than chronic stress.
Your body literally relaxes around them.
Yes, this parasympathetic state is the absolute prerequisite for emotional security.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for me. The text highlights this surprising takeaway. Focusing on the positive actually encourages a growth mindset in the relationship.
That's a huge point.
Right, because instead of viewing the whole relationship as broken after a fight, which is so easy when your cortisol is spiking, couples start recognizing progress, they can step back and say, hey, we fought, but we communicated way better than we did 6 months ago.
Yeah, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, the psychological benefits are huge. Feeling appreciated lowers anxiety and builds what the text calls emotional resilience.
So it's not just about being polite.
Not at all. Positive reinforcement literally motivates healthier behaviors. When your partner feels seen for the good things, they want to keep doing them. It means couples recover from challenges much faster.
Because the foundation is stronger. I love that. It's the difference between moving toward a shared goal rather than just frantically running away from failure.
Exactly.
But the source doesn't just leave us with theory. It gives us a toolkit, 5 highly practical ways to shift your focus without it feeling forced or, slipping into toxic positivity.
Right. We don't want to just plaster a smile over real pain.
Exactly. So let's systematically break down these 5 methods from the text so you can actually implement this in your own life. Number 1 is daily appreciation.
Micro moments. We always think appreciation requires a grand gesture, like a big anniversary dinner.
Right, but the text argues the rewiring happens in the mundane moments, just verbalizing things we usually keep in our heads. The examples in the text are brilliantly simple, like saying, I appreciate how supportive you were today.
Or thank you for making time for us.
Yeah, it takes 3 seconds, but it interrupts that negativity bias, which leads to tool number 2. Celebrating small wins.
And we aren't talking about throwing a parade for surviving a Tuesday.
No parades.
It's about acknowledging everyday victories. The text highlights calmly solving a disagreement as a massive win. For most people, resolving a fight brings relief, but rarely celebration.
Yeah, you just want to move on.
Right. But calling out that progress reinforces the growth mindset.
Like, hey, we usually bicker about chores for an hour, but tonight we seamlessly negotiated it, we crushed that. It cements the new behavior.
Exactly. It validates the effort.
Okay, tool number 3 from the source. Implementing positive relationship rituals. Intentional routines.
The text suggests things like a morning check-in or weekly date nights.
Or even just sharing one positive moment every day to build emotional consistency, like engineering predictability into the partnership.
It's so necessary. In a chaotic world, having a predictable time where you know you're going to connect provides so much grounding. It removes the pressure of having to constantly find time.
The ritual does the heavy lifting. I love that. Okay, tool number 4 is about shifting conversations. When you are connecting, the text brings up the power of the questions you ask.
Right. If you ask an anxious question, you get an anxious answer.
Exactly. Why are we so stressed lately? It just validates the stress. So listeners, imagine asking your partner the specific questions from the text instead, like, what made you feel loved this week?
Or, what are we doing well as a couple?
Yeah, the mechanism there is just brilliant.
It forces your partner's brain to actively hunt through their memory banks for positive data. It demands they suspend that negativity bias to answer the question.
It's like a search engine query for joy. Type in the right keywords, get the right results. Okay, the 5th and final tool the text explores is keeping a gratitude journal.
Ah, the journal.
Yeah, documenting kind gestures, fun memories. Now, I know for a lot of you listening, the word journaling immediately sounds like tedious homework.
They feel like an obligation.
Yeah.
Which raises an important question. Why physically write it down when you could just silently acknowledge it?
Yeah, why do the extra work?
Because writing it down physically trains the mind. Writing is a totally different neurological process than just thinking. It builds long-term emotional awareness.
It's like training a social media algorithm. If you only click on negative news, your feed becomes a boom scroll. Your brain operates the exact same way. If you only look at your partner's flaws, your brain serves you more flaws.
Exactly. By physically writing down gratitude, you feed your brain's algorithm positive data. You teach it to automatically scan your environment for good things tomorrow.
You're altering the default settings. But look, let's take a step back and apply a reality check here.
Let's do it. Real life is messy.
Real life isn't perfect, and modern society makes it exceptionally hard to focus on the good. The source takes a hard look at how modern distractions distort our focus, particularly social media.
Social media is a massive catalyst for the negativity trap. The text points out that it encourages this brutal form of comparison.
Yeah, you're constantly measuring your messy, day-to-day reality against someone else's hyper-curated highlight reel.
You see a couple posting from a yacht, and suddenly your partner forgetting the dishwasher feels like an existential failure.
It's so true. The text strongly advises focusing on authentic, real-life connection. You have to divorce yourself from Instagram perfection.
Right. Real intimacy features bad moods and financial stress. If you use a digital fantasy as your benchmark, your real partner will always be a disappointment.
Which feeds right back into that critical health inspector dynamic. But navigating reality also means addressing the elephant in the room. Real conflict.
Right, because healthy couples still fight. The source is very clear on this stance. Focusing on what went well does not mean avoiding difficult conversations.
It's not about sticking your fingers in your ears while the house burns down, chanting, "I am so grateful."
No, not at all. But healthy couples focus on solutions rather than blame. They avoid constant criticism, which destroys self-esteem.
Because they've built up that reservoir of trust with positive reinforcement, they can address conflicts without triggering the defensive walls.
Exactly. It creates an environment where both people feel safe enough to admit when they're wrong.
So what does this all mean? For you, the listener, it means long-lasting relationships require intentional effort to build this culture of appreciation.
It's about making positivity a habit.
Yeah, openly expressing love and supporting each other's growth.
And the core takeaway here is that choosing gratitude over criticism doesn't ignore challenges. It actually gives couples the emotional strength they need to overcome those challenges together.
It arms you for them. We've covered some incredible ground today. But I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over.
Ooh, okay.
So the text asserted that negative interactions stay in our memory longer than positive ones, right? Our brains hold on to that one bad argument.
Forever, basically.
Right. So if the human brain is hardwired to do that, how many intentional positive interactions do you think you need to deposit into your relationship bank account to neutralize just one negative conflict?
That is a fascinating ratio to think about.
It really is. It's something for you to consider the next time you're standing in the kitchen, deciding whether to offer a criticism or a compliment.